G'day guys, so Prawn here with another video. Today I'll be discussing why you might want to keep a betta fish, where you can keep it, and how to care for these fancy fish. Betta fish are quite a common fish. If your local pet shop has goldfish, there are sure to be some bettas in stock. They come in all shapes and colours, from standard blue or reds to the mixed pattern koi betta fish. There's a colour for everyone. A betta's price will vary depending on the colour or shape of the betta. There are a few different shapes around, and some of these shapes are veal tail, which is the most common and standard betta shape, crown tail, which looks like it has spikes or spines on the end of its fins and tail, the half moon, which has a semicircle tail and is quite a popular choice. Each shape of the betta can come in all different colours. Like with shrimp and other fish, different colours can determine how much they are worth. The shape also determines how much they might be worth. Half moon's a lot more expensive than a veal tail, so yeah, definitely do some research before you buy them. I have a pale orange betta, which isn't a desirable colour. Most keepers want a strong, vibrant colour, and my Simba, my betta fish, just looks very dull and I guess watered down. Depending on what you're looking for, yeah, so some might be more expensive. Make sure you're looking for what you're interested in. Just because something might be very expensive doesn't mean it's the thing to buy. If you like, the scrawny little pale one like I did, then you take that, Don't pay more, because paying more isn't going to get you a healthier fish. It may, just get you a different looking fish. If you like the veal tail, go for the veal tail. The veal tail or standard shaped bettas can sell for about $8 or $16, depending on where you're purchasing from. And they usually are blue or red. If you're looking for nicer colours or fancier shapes, the prices will only go up. For some specially bred and really rare fish, they've sold for like thousands or hundreds of dollars, which is really crazy. And at that point, if you're spending $100, you've got to know your stuff. You don't want to be throwing away that money on something that may die a week later because you didn't set up the tank properly. So if you're a beginner, I recommend, below $30. Anything after that, you might be, being a bit silly with how much you're spending. But yeah, keep around 30 if you're very new to this. So let's get into the tank requirements. You may have been to a pet shop and seen that they're in tiny jars, or the betta fish, lined up on a rack. And this is not how you should keep them. Just because they're like that doesn't mean you should. The pet shops do that because it's easier to display and it's easier to sell them. You go in there, you go, oh, I want that one there. Then the shop owner just comes over, or the pet shop worker gets their bag, and they just tip the jar into the bag and off you go. So do not keep them like that. It's really only for display. And if you've ever actually had a close look at those fish, they're not very active and they're usually sick, or I've seen a few dead ones in those jars. It's just not good for your betta. So if you're going to buy a new tank, anything above like 8 or 10 gallons is best. I would minimum keep it in 5 gallons. Anything below that is just too small. So yeah, 8 or 30 litres, or 8 gallons or 30 litres would be the best. Just because they survive in those small jars doesn't mean they should be kept in them. My fish is kept in a 14-gallon tank, and he does great. He's always active, always eating, always happy. And with bigger tanks you can add different fish in there, but I'll talk about that later. Bettas don't like a heap of flow in your tank, but a small amount is okay. So something like a sponge filter or something air driven is always a good idea. You can get those smaller sponge filters that you can just stick onto the back. They're always good. Or a Hamburg Matten filter wouldn't be bad. Just something that means you don't have to do every second day water changes or something. You can keep your water changes to a weekly update, I guess, or water change. So you can, if you have other fish, you can line it up with those ones. Hang-on back filters also work pretty well. Just be careful it's not too big for the tank or it causes too much flow. I've had a hang-on back filter that was just pushing down way too much water and it was just messing it all up. When you're choosing your substrate, you can pretty much use anything. I say that, meaning gravel or sand. Just try and choose a colour that will show off your fish. That's all it's about, really. Black gravel works really well for the reds. Maybe a lighter gravel for the blues. But if you're getting other colours, you kind of just work with it and have a suss. When it comes down to it, it's your choice. If you have a black Betta and you want a black gravel, go ahead. It may not look great, or you may not ever see your fish, but it's up to you. All of this is your choice. Just stick to a few of these. Try and keep the water with a pH of around 7 and a temperature between 20 and 24 degrees. You may not need a heater if you keep your house or your room at that temperature. But if it's dropping, below 20, you may consider a heater. Don't go any more above that where you start to cook your fish. You should cycle your tank and set it up a week earlier, just before. You should do this with any fish. Gets the tank cycled, gets the filter going, then you put your fish in and you don't have to worry about, any spikes or anything like that. Feel free to decorate your tank however you like, rocks, driftwood, plants, fake plants, anything like that, little castle. Just don't, fill it up and, make it so the fish can't actually move. Just, something in the middle and some plants to the side is always a good option. I wouldn't recommend buying those Betta tanks at the pet shops because they are still too small. They're very appealing, I've seen them before and gone, oh, I'd love that. If it was bigger, it would look great. And, they're only bad because the fish can't get around and it can't swim and it's not going to be doing much. If they were bigger, they would be great, but they don't sell them that big. There are some really nice ones, but personally, I wouldn't buy them. I'm not saying you can't or, it'll kill your fish, but it won't, make your fish very happy. If you really wanted one or, one to show off your fish, you could buy one if you're, going to events where, you take your fish there and show them off, or you're having people over, you could set up a small tank, but I wouldn't make that its main living house, I guess. So feeding your Betta fish, the fish is going to want, live food, but you're not always going to be able to get live food. It might not have anywhere that sells it near you, or it might be too expensive. So bloodworms are really good, frozen or live. But yeah, like I said, it can be a bit more expensive, so frozen's the way to go. Another alternative could be Betta pellets. So many different companies have so many different types of Betta pellets or small bites and things like that. Pretty much any of those are okay. Just read the instructions on how much to feed and when to feed. I do frozen bloodworms twice a week, and then the rest of the days are just pellets, and yeah, my fish does well. Despite what most people say or think about the Betta fish, you can keep them with other fish, just do not keep them with other male Betta fish. The fish that you can keep them with are usually just very passive fish, nothing territorial, so don't get any cichlids or, angelfish and things like that, because they're going to compete and, attack each other. Things like neon tetras or corydoras are great for Betta fish. Coolie loaches, they're good as well. Just things that, kind of hide away and do their own thing, and aren't worried about other fish. It is also possible to buy just female Betta fish. They're a bit more expensive and a bit harder to find, for sure, but you can make a sorority. You get a large, 20-gallon tank, I guess, and you can put 6 of them in there and they'll be fine together. They're not aggressive or competitive or anything like that because they're all the females. They don't look as vibrant as the males, but you can get some more expensive ones that do look really nice. It just depends on if you want the fish for its colours and its big fins, or if you just want the fish because you like the fish. An alternative to fighting fish are gouramis. They're in the same family or genus, something like that anyway. But they're related and they're very similar. They both have bladder organs or bladder lungs, I can't remember what it's called, where they can breathe from the air. So instead of through the water, they can breathe out of the air. Which means you can keep them, I guess, in bowls and stuff, but you shouldn't. But, they're very similar. So, if you want to use the gouramis as a second choice, you can. They look nice, they're, nice fish. A bit harder to keep, but yeah, definitely a good alternative. So thank you for watching. I hope you learnt something from this video. Feel free to comment and like and subscribe. I've had so many subscribers lately. The channel's really growing and I'm really happy about that. Yeah, so thank you for watching.